nothing to do with God, and you began to research this dark world, reading both the Egyptian and Tibetan books of the dead and lots of UFO material. What did you discover during that period?
Well, the Egyptian and the Tibetan books of the dead both talked about alligators and in this nether world, that could consume you. But it was, I think it was Raymond Fowler who had written a book, mostly did the Andreasen Affair books, and he had this statement that said, and I never forgot it, he said that it could be that the UFO, death is the ultimate UFO abduction. I'll never forget that line. Then I also read it, Linda Howe talked about these underground bases and how they could take the soul, manipulations of human beings done by these entities, and some of them were reptilian.
And then the reptilians began talking directly with you. What were the nature of those conversations?
Mostly threats, mostly threatening me. They either they wanted to rape me or kill me. That was pretty much the extent of it. There was it was interesting. They didn't catch on to reverse speaking for about 2 weeks. So whenever I would put on my recorder, there'd be one of them, and he'd be saying something to me. Now they use regular old American names, and one of them would say, I'd say, well, who am I speaking to? And he'd say, I'm an alien. My name is Ralph. And then I would turn it around real quick, and he goes, I'm lying. My name is really John. And I would say back into the recorder, you're not Ralph. Your name is John. And they go, oh my God, how did she know that? This woman they called me a seer. They called me a witch. They called me Ave Sophia, one of them said. They didn't know I was reversing. They'd never heard of this. That's why I'm saying it's new. And finally, somebody figured out, because they're watching, they said, she's doing something with the recordings. That's how she knows what we're thinking. And then they had to be very careful, because as soon as they would say something, which they always talk, I could turn it around and figure out what they were really thinking. So I had hundreds of them here, literally. They told me they were surrounding me, and we're going to, next time you go to the dentist, we're going to put a virus in your gum, we're going to insert cancer into your womb, we're going to rape you, we're going to, it was on and on. And they said, and now watch, she's going to sing for Jesus. And I said, I only talk to the one, I serve the one. And as soon as I said that, it was everything changed.
So they were trying to trick you into Jesus worship.
Well, because Jesus...
Because they controlled that whole ideology.
That's right.
The reptilians pretended to be Pleiadians talking to you.
Oh, all the time.
But never humans.
No. Oh, no. They think human. They look down on humans. They think they're just retarded cattle. But they do. They hate the Pleiadians, but they have amazing respect for the Pleiadians.
So what did you learn from talking with the reptilians? What were the key lessons or ideas that you came away with?
They're miserable. They're very unhappy. They don't like their lives. They're very controlled. They have hierarchies. They have to do what they're ordered. If they don't go along with the program, they're annihilated. They usually have their heads cut off. They have some regular births. Most of them now are clones. They one said, I'm 2 years old, but he was old enough to be doing, they're clones, so that they come from Orion, and they want to go back to Orion because they know it's coming up, but they don't want to stay here. They know they're going to be killed, and they're very angry at the big shots going out on the big ship, very angry that they've been left behind. They're just considered peons.
And who was Vinny?
Well, Vinny was one of the first reptilians that I actually talked to, and I still didn't understand the extent of what they were doing on the other side. And he would talk to me, and I was just kind of excited about being able to talk to extraterrestrials. I thought, wow, you did this UFO show. We always want to talk to an alien, and he was fairly young. His father was a general. He did have a natural birth. He was in the military, in their side. He was the one who told me that there was going to be an invasion and that the new ones coming were very vicious. He could actually be fairly amenable. I mean, he said to me, when this war is over, I'll stand by your side. We'll stand side by side. And I didn't even know what war he was talking about at the time. You know, I was really not tuned in. And then at one point, on New Year's Eve, the Pleiadians came through and said, the transport has been hijacked for an alien, and he's got all the people. And I was like, and it was Vinny. And he was saying, well, you know, we told them that, you know, the Pleiadians were going to, that we were Pleiadians, we convinced them. And they trusted you. And see, this is what happens when they trust you.
So this, for you, was right around the January 2005
yeah,
that you
it was
got
New Year's
that.
Eve. I was supposed to go to New Year's Eve party.
So was this just to come on Vinny acting like he's your buddy? Like,
oh yeah, I mean,
he's
you know,
an okay guy.
you know, I still didn't understand it, and he was, yeah, oh yeah, he wanted, you know, he wanted me to be his girlfriend, and
So now you know Vinny is full of...
they're all like this.
He's just as vicious and two-faced as
Yeah,
most of
they
them.
all are like this. This is basically their MO.
You also feel that your husband Nick is not of the Earth originally, that he is of Syrian descent.
I said that in reverse. That's the only reason I know.
And how about yourself? Do you feel kinship with the Pleiadians, or?
Yes. I wouldn't have. I mean, I never was into, you know, I'm special, I'm Pleiadian. I'd heard a lot of that on the TV show we had done, and I was like, you know, get a life, you know. But back when the Reptilians first started showing up, they kept calling me the Pleiadian. And I kept hearing it over and over again. And it was coming up all the time. And then I heard from the Pleiadians. For a short time, they were able to talk to me. And then I knew it was true. And I would say there are lots of Pleiadians here. There are lots. If I would say anybody who would be interested enough to watch a program or to something like this project probably is not from here. And probably Pleiadian.
Now, David Icke is probably the most prominent researcher who's well known for his reptilian research now. Originally, it was conspiratorial and government control, and it evolved for him into he put the pieces together and came up with the same types of things that you're coming up with. How has reading Icke, if you have read him or speaking with him, how has he influenced you?
I couldn't read David for quite a while. Just couldn't get through it. And I do think he's probably more accurate in his take on this and on the history of this group with the secret societies and all that. Very, very accurate. He's very congruent in reverse. He does not get into the meat-eating aspect of it on the other side, although he does talk about them consuming flesh and blood during their satanic rituals. But that's more of a ritualistic thing. The people on the other side of their daily fare, they have restaurants on the other side that serve human meat. And so, you know, he's got a lot of good information, way more technical thing about their symbols and their, you know, secret societies and their history than I do. But just, that's a big gap, the meat-eating of the astral people. And other than that, you know, I have tremendous respect for David.
Now, David went down to, I guess it was South America, and partook in some ayahuasca tea. And that particular episode led you to make a statement that you thought that Icke may have received some bad information while under the influence of this tea. Can you discuss that a little bit?
He, in his reversals, he talks while he's talking about the voice that he heard speaking to him while under the influence of the tea. He refers to the voice as the serpent, and that she's lying. She's going to he'll lose the facts. That he did say that he was raped while he was under the influence. So they just remember that, and other things that. I think that he was told things that were not true, like, for instance, they're not computer programs. He says they're computer programs brought on by the Earth, which felt itself cut off from the source, and that's all wrong.